Tetris Gym really revolutionized the game of NES Tetris. And Kirjava is kind of agreeing with me, but also said that he thinks that we'll be in a different point in history if Tetris Gym wasn't around. Hi, my name is Franco Stone, the SirMaser. Welcome to the Peace Dependency Podcast. After a month hiatus, we're back with a brand new episode. And today we have Tetris Gym creator Kirjava on the show. Obviously, we talked about Tetris Gym, but also we talked about him only playing live events and learning rolling and much, much more. This is our conversation. Kirjava, welcome to the Peace Dependency Podcast. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, first question is always the same question to everyone who's new on a podcast, and that is, how did you get into NES Tetris?
Yeah, so it was actually a friend of mine, Brendan, who goes by BV09 in the community. He has been into Tetris for years. I remember I know him through cubing. So we used to play Game Boy Tetris at cubing competitions in the early 2010s. And then more recently he got more and more into it as things like Joseph started to come on the scene and stuff like that. And then after that I just kind of followed him into the community and it spiraled out from there.
So that is 2018.
Yeah, around about there. That's when I first started to really get into it.
Yeah. So, did you play any NES Tetris during that time, or were you just following Brandon?
I did. I was a DAS player for so long, for 2 or 3 years, and then when rolling came out,
yeah,
I just kind of almost adopted it immediately because I knew it was obviously better. So I just wanted to put that, because I'd been grinding as a DAS player for so long and not being very good. I didn't have a max out or anything. So it was really good to have that moment where it changed and I got, because it made me get more into it as well. I started actually chasing scores and things like that.
Yeah. So what was it like to see Brandon playing NES Tetris, or getting you into NES Tetris?
It's really interesting actually, because his stacking, I haven't really seen many people stack like he did, especially in the hyper tapping era.
Yeah,
it was very very clever, a lot of the stuff he'd do, and I tried to emulate it as much as possible. Obviously struggled with that. I've gotten better since, but he was the best person in the UK for a very long time.
Yeah.
So that was cool to hang out with him a lot, because I'd learn loads of stuff from him. I mean, he's playing less now. He doesn't really play it as much anymore, but he was a very valuable resource in the beginning.
I honestly can't remember when BV played the last match. Maybe CTVC UK?
Yeah, but he's not really. He's just doing that because he's there and he kind of wants to,
Yeah, just to hang out.
He might as well, kind of thing. He's still coming to CCWC this year. He's not competing, but he's just coming to hang out.
Yeah.
We're going a bit of a road trip or something.
Oh, really? Just go starting at Pasadena and then a Western Coast road trip.
Well, okay. Less of a road trip, more just hanging out in LA generally.
All right, city seeing, sightseeing.
Yeah, basically.
I think you can be in LA for 2 weeks and still haven't seen anything.
Yeah, it's massive.
So, were you back in 2018, 2019? Were you already fiddling around with NES or with an NES or with the hardware? Because Brendan is also notorious for playing NES Tetris pretty much on. He played on a camcorder. He had it maxed out on the tiniest screen.
That thing is crazy.
So were you fiddling around back then, or is that more of the later years?
A little bit, yeah. I did eventually get a console set up after playing on emulator for a while. But it wasn't until I really got into the ROM hacking where I wanted to get like, a proper setup, a proper way that I could write, like play the ROMs easily that I created and stuff like that.
Yeah. How did you experience? Because you played Game Boy Tetris, and Game Boy Tetris and NES Tetris are kind of the same, but not really the same. So was it a big change going from Game Boy Tetris to NES Tetris?
Well, I didn't play Game Boy Tetris that much. It was just at like competitions when we'd be there.
Yeah.
But I do remember like playing emulator and playing it with DAS, and we'd even do it at some competitions playing on a NES and stuff like that. At first we'd use an emulator. And I remember about that time I was like, I could get 500k, I'd get to like a transition and then maybe get a few lines and top out and stuff in the early days.
On 19.
Yeah. It's pretty brutal when you can't do DAS, which I couldn't do DAS then either.
I still can't do DAS?
Not really, no. I suck pretty hard at it.
So you're not participating in any DAS tournaments nowadays then?
No. So one thing I was talking to Alex Kerr about is like, it would be nice to go to the events for DAS and like, even if I didn't compete, but then I was like, what if I did compete, but I just like rolled, but only at 10 hertz? So we were thinking about like ways to approach that. So you could kind of have like a metronome in your earphones where you just like try and do 10 hertz. And then we like started finding songs that were the right BPM to be able to like do DAS the whole way through. But yeah, I never pursued it because it's so difficult to do because you just want to go fast. Like keeping it at 10 hertz when you're rolling, I find really difficult.
Isn't that basically the same as the Poet's controversy when Poet won CDWC DAS but wasn't really playing DAS, was really slow tapping?
Yeah, kind of. But I think with Poet, it wasn't even that bad. I think the problem with that was just his grip. Like people saw him holding it like a clarinet or something dumb, like Fractal's grip or something, and we're like, no, this is wrong.
Yeah.
This isn't in the spirit of DAS, in quotes.
I mean, the first ever Jonas Neubauer Cup winner, Fractal, is also not holding a traditional DAS grip.
Yeah, I feel like Fractal intentionally picked the most absurd grip that he could still be good with. Like he did it to prove a point.
Yeah.
And I think he was quite successful at that.
Well, are you gonna attempt one day the 10 hertz rolling in competition just to see if it works?
Well, it will work. It's just putting the practice in. I'd like to, if I don't really have time this year, but if I decide to go to CCWC DAS in the future, it'd be nice to do that then.
I think if you're rolling now, and I don't know what hertz you consistently roll, like 30 hertz, but if you roll at 10 hertz, it will completely throw off your normal rolling game, I presume.
Yeah, maybe. Well, it's like switching between NTSC and PAL. I always find that really difficult as well, because the timing's just so different. I think it's because I played so much NTSC and not DAS now, and I haven't intentionally practiced PAL, so I don't really enjoy it compared to NTSC. I'm not very good with like changing that kind of rate. I just need more practice with it, basically. I would totally do it though if I'm going to that event, like spend a month or something beforehand, like trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I think that would, if you manage to go deep into the tournament, I think there would be a lot of controversy around that run.
Yeah, I don't think I'd go far though.
So, when did you switch from emulator to hardware as your main?
I
Sorry,
think,
yeah.
yeah, I think at some point I just bought a Retron because I was like, okay, I'm going to commit to this now and actually get the hardware. So I got a Retron and then bought some random CRT. Um, I think this was after like maybe a few months, even.
So,
Um,
around what time period are we talking about?
I can't totally remember, to be honest. Probably around 2018 or 19 or something
Oh
like that.
yeah. And still trying to play that. So then 2021 or late 2020, 2021 rolling came into the
Hmm.
scene. When did you hear about rolling for the first time?
Um, I think Tegamek had mentioned it in passing sometime, and then it called, like, when he was calling it fly hacking. And
Yeah.
then at some point I saw Cheese's video on a stream where he was doing 19.5 with rolling. I was like, oh, what the hell? Seeing like the hertz counter going to like 20 hertz and being like, what's going on? This is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Um, and then, very soon after that, everyone knew about it.
So how did you learn rolling?
Oh, it was just literally like, I think I spent, so it took 2 months to get a max out, and I basically spent 2 months just grinding every day for a few hours to
Oh,
like be able to do that. I think that was when I was like really practicing properly, like, because I did it intentionally.
yeah. Because I don't know if a lot of people know, but you're the first player to have their first max out with rolling.
Yeah, it's just because I got on it so early. I was like, I know this going to be obviously better, and so I did like do hyper tapping for quite a while, for a period, but I was like 13 hertz at best and couldn't really maintain it. And as soon as I saw rolling, I knew that it would like kind of remove the mechanics out of the equation
Yeah.
entirely. Like, I mean, once you've learned it, you don't have to worry about like hitting the hertz by vibrating your fingers so quickly.
Yeah.
So it was like an obvious choice to me.
And one of the early adapters to rolling. That is kind of fascinating.
Yeah, it was fun. It was like I wasn't really worried that it wouldn't work out as something big. It was kind of obvious that once you could once you could figure out how to do it, it would be clearly much better. I
Yeah.
think in the early days, a lot of people said that there was worries that it'd be hard to be consistent, or you get loads of misdrops, which you do get more misdrops, but you can control it so well now, like with enough practice, that it doesn't matter whatsoever. It's just clearly much better.
It's fascinating how far rolling has gotten in like 4 years now with Rebirth, with the game crash all within 12 months. It's like, don't think anyone would have predicted that when rolling really got into the scene in 2021.
Yeah, no, because like it takes time to build up the ability to do it well. Like even once you can do it well and play like play 29 easily, there's still a massive grind before you can play forever. You know,
Yeah.
like we can keep going. Like we people could still get double rebirths. It's a bit more of a marathon at that point, but it's still a case of like there's you can still improve. There's still improvements to be made. There's basically no skill ceiling now. The game goes on forever.
Oh
But like
yeah.
the highest score world record at
I
least.
I doubt we'll ever see a 10x roll a rebirth or something like that, because Dog played 90 minutes for his rebirth. So 90
Yeah, it
minutes times.
starts it starts to get a bit silly. Well, like the actual doing the rolling isn't the prohibitive part. It's just like, can you pay attention for that amount of time and stuff like that?
I mean, paying attention for 90 minutes without playing any setters just in general, that's tough sometimes. but then actively gaming one game and playing Tetris for 90 minutes. That's kind of boring. I'm not gonna lie. I love the game, but playing 90 minutes like one game of NES Tetris, that's kind of boring.
Yeah, I imagine when you're in the flow though, it's still kind of enjoyable, but it's about like how long can you maintain that flow?
Yeah.
Clearly not indefinitely.
I mean, I feel it's pretty much the same as the CWC qualifiers right now. That's 2 hours, and when CWC was online, I hated those 2 hours because it was such a long time, and after like 75 minutes or something like that, I was tired. I was burned. I just had to grind for those 2 hours, and you were happy that you were done.
Yeah, I find it pretty brutal whenever doing a qualifier like that, because I never really play for 2 solid hours at home. Like I'll play for like, half an hour or an hour at most, and then do something else, and then I'll like come back to it and play a game. It's never like constantly like that. So before doing CTWC qualifiers, I did try to practice that, and it's just such a grind. It feels like even the last hour, it's like you're just trying to force it out to do it.
Yeah, especially when max outs are not that common. Like even getting 8 max outs in 2 hours, that's impressive, but like the top players are getting like 14, 15 max outs, but still getting 7, 8 max outs in 2 hours, and that's impressive, but also takes a toll on the mental, I think.
Yeah, I don't know how they're doing it, like, because what's the world record now? Is it 16 max outs?
Yeah, pretty much. And
so that's like maxing every game and not really making a mistake. I guess when it's really easy for you to max and you can just kind of play 29 forever, it's a bit easier. Like you're just kind of doing it the whole time. It's still going to be exhausting.
Yeah, maybe, but I think for CWC call, the strategy is also you need to max as early as possible. Because otherwise, if you max at 29 all the time, you rather want to max at 24 than at level 29 because that saves time.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't think about that. So yeah, you still have to play quite intensely because someone can like bop you in the seed.
Yeah. So you're currently at a 1.3 million score PP. Is a rollover? Is that something that you think that's doable?
Yeah, I think I just need to practice. So what I've done recently is so I've been busy with other things. I've kind of like taken a break from Tetris for about, I don't know, 2-3 months now.
Yeah.
And I am going to return to it because I need to like practice and stuff for CTWC. I'll probably properly practice again. But like it's a thing I've done before when like, you have a skill that you work on and try and improve, and then sometimes you feel like you plateau, so you can take a break and come back to it, and it might feel better, might feel easier to do. So yeah, I'm in that period at the moment. I'm hoping that when I go back, it's going to be pretty straightforward, and I just have to like grind and be able to play on 29 more. I think that's always been kind of like my weakness. Like I can play on it, but I just can't maintain it, and going for Tetris is still really hard.
Yeah. So you only play CTWC and CTWC UK regional. That's basically you have 10 matches under your belt, and those are the 2 tournaments that you played in. Is there a reason why you only play those 2 tournaments and not playing online, maybe friendly here and there?
Yeah, I just have never played online. I should do it more. I want to play in Tetris friendlies, when I get back to doing practice. But I don't know, it's just not felt the same to me to play online. I've always just preferred to do it in real life. And it's just and you also, when you're doing it online, you kind of have to organize it into your day and stuff. Due to my lack of experience, I often struggle with like nerves and things in competitions. So that can be tricky, like working through that. But to be honest, I'm not like super intent on wanting to win. I'm just here to have fun, and if I set good scores and stuff and do well, that's a bonus.
So if you're going to CTWC in June, the goal is not to make the gold bracket.
Well, yeah, I would like to make the gold bracket again. That
Yeah,
would be great.
because you played in 2023 in the gold
What's
bracket.
it be like? What, five max outs now or something
Uh,
stupid?
yeah, I think last year there was 4 or 5 max out cutoff, which was a major improvement from
Yeah, it was like
2023.
4, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, it took me by surprise. I was kind of expecting to get like 3 or 4 max outs, and that be enough to get in. So not only did I not do that, and I got 2, the qualification went up to 4 max outs. So it happens.
yeah.
Maybe I'll be back next time.
I maybe play some online matches just to try to emulate a little bit. I doubt you can emulate like playing on stage in front of an audience, how big or small it is. Like the audience for
Yeah,
CDWC is obviously bigger than if you play during CDWC UK, but like I think you can't emulate that at home, and that's one of the biggest downsides of playing online if you only play live.
yeah, but I think it would still help. Like I get used to going up against a competitor. You're still going through some kind of motions, but it's just not the exact same things. And you're not going to be able to replicate that anyway, whatever you do.
Yeah.
So you're just going to have to play.
So what is the preparation for CWC? What does that look like? You're currently in a break, and so when you pick it up, what are you doing to prep for CWC?
It depends how much I get into it at the time, and if I have the time. But ideally, I would be basically spending a few hours every day during the week. I also need to fix my controller, which is a constant issue. Well, not fix a controller, just like get a controller I'm happy with. A part of like taking a break was being frustrated by the controller and just being like, okay, I'll come back to this when I have a better one. So first, I'm gonna have to like make a good controller.
Are you making the controllers yourself, or are you using the official NES Tetris NES controllers?
So I'm using I've tried a lot of different things. I'm using an official board and then doing a Goofy Foot mod,
Yeah,
like just by soldering directly onto the board. And then like the buttons and the D-pad and the shell are all custom ordered from online. And it's not purely cosmetic. Like the D-pad I have is
yeah.
from a place called Kitch Bent, and it's like slightly raised. And I got it when I was hyper tapping because it like made it easier to hyper tap. But I'm just used to it now. It
What
kind of makes it easier to roll or feel where the D-pad is.
what made you prefer the Goofy Foot style?
Well, I actually switched to it. So I was doing DAS with like the normal grip, but
Yeah,
I was using I realized that when hyper tapping, I could only hyper tap with my right hand.
yeah.
So I had to like relearn inverted controls when I switched to hyper tapping. Um, so after that, when I adopted rolling, I still kept that, like using the inverted controls because I could more easily roll with my right hand. I think if I wanted to, I could have learned either for rolling, but it was definitely like I had to do it that way for hyper tapping. So it's just like a kind of a grandfathered in kind of thing that has stuck with me. Um,
Yeah.
that I have to deal with. I mean, I could relearn again, but I don't want to relearn how to play Tetris for like a fourth time. It's ridiculous.
Why would you want to do that anyway?
Yeah,
I,
well, I don't know. Maybe suddenly I figure out that I can't roll with my right hand, or say I get an injury that stops it. Have to relearn with my left or something like that. It would make it easier to get decent controllers because then I don't have to worry about the goofy foot stuff.
yeah. Are you experiencing any pain with playing rolling, because rolling is now it's a new technique, and we still don't know what the effects are on the hands, and we heard some players complain about feeling it in their wrist, feeling it in their arms, in their hands. Are you having trouble with playing the rolling playstyle, or
Not really. Like when I first started, I had some like pain in my anchor hand, but that's just from like straining it for a long period of time. Like once I got used to that pain totally went away and it didn't hurt at all. But I do notice that if I take a break and come back to it, it can feel a bit like I'm straining it and it hurts a bit because of that.
Yeah. So going to CWC 2025, like, what was it like last year? First time in Pasadena, California. You've been to Portland in 2023, then the move to Pasadena in 2024. Well, was it a major change also in vibe, also in the atmosphere?
Yeah, it feels like, because in Pasadena it's in a massive room, so the atmosphere it feels much bigger. I guess it's still in a massive room in Portland, but like it's pushed into this one corner of it. Whereas in Pasadena, it's like it's completely open, so it looks like there's all sorts of stuff going. There is all sorts of stuff going on. I think it's a much better venue, even like the places around it, because it's more in the center of the city. So there's like more stuff to do around it and things like that. But yeah, like I do prefer it. It's not saying that Portland was bad or anything. But yeah, it just felt like a much bigger thing generally over there.
Yeah.
And it was cool to have, like, it felt like the things that weren't Tetris were more fun to do as well there.
Compared to Portland.
The side events where they had more retro consoles and stuff, and then the place where you could go around and like go to all these stalls and get random gaming memorabilia and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like every retro gaming expo has something unique. And since Portland CWC, the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, was home of CWC for such a long time, I think it's weird to see that change. I felt weird to see a change in scenery, or knowing that's now in Pasadena, California, and it will be there for the foreseeable future. But also in June, I'm so used to October. That was weird that it was now in June.
Yeah, it was weird to me because like obviously the first one I went to was the last Portland one. So to have it, like, it's like I went twice really quickly after each other. I had not been before. It wasn't as jarring to me that it was in a different venue, because I'd only been to that other venue once. So it's like, for all I know, it could be in a different place every year.
Yeah. We'll be back with the conversation in a minute. But first, join the Classic Tetris Monthly Discord server. The Discord server is the main hub in Classic Tetris, and you can qualify for the monthly tournaments ranging from Masters event to the community tiers. Go to our link tree to join the Discord. Subscribe to the Peace Dependency Podcast YouTube channel. The first 32 episodes of PDP are available at full length, and new original content will be released in the next coming month. Follow Peace Dependency Podcast on the socials. Hit a link tree to follow us. Do you have a suggestion who you want to see next on the show? Let me know on the socials, or join our PDP Discord at bit.ly/PDP Discord and tell me there. Now, let's go back to the conversation. You are the creator of Tetris Gym. It started as a practice ROM for NES Tetris, and it ended up being pretty much the revolutionary piece that connected all the dots in NES Tetris. I think without Tetris Gym, we wouldn't have the game crash. Without Tetris Gym, we wouldn't have the rebirth. The training has been massively improved since Tetris Gym came into the scene late 2020, I believe. So
yeah, I think things would still happen. It would have just happened differently. Like, we'd be in a slightly different place in Tetris history. But it has had a huge impact on how people practice and even like compete, like with the software on that people are using at competitions for, like, sometimes they'll ask for custom things. Like CCWC DAS was like, they wanted a custom rule set that would stop people from doing hyper tapping or whatever.
from so cheating from that.
Yeah.
So how did it start with Tetris Gym? What was the idea that you were like, all right, let's create a practice ROM?
Yeah, so I'd done other kinds of ROM hacking before. on different platforms like the Sega Genesis and stuff like that. So I kind of already knew what I was getting myself into and was just kind of curious. Like the NES Tetris scene has quite a big ROM hacking community already. So when I looked in there and saw all these different mods, I was like, okay, I kind of want to make my own where I can practice different things. And then the first thing I wanted to do is make like a level 29 trainer to make that easier to do. Because you'd have to use Game Genie ever and like reset the game and switch out. So I wanted to make it more easy to do that.
Yeah.
And it just kind of spiraled. Like the idea of making a practice ROM came from seeing other games with practice ROMs. Like
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time has this thing called GZ, and for Super Mario Brothers, I think it's the Pelston ROM. And I was like, surely we can make something like this for NES Tetris.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just kind of spiraled. The big thing was like I saw all these disparate hacks that did various different things. I just wanted to combine them. So I started like making this ROM where I'd put all the different mods I'd made as I learned how to like manipulate the game. And then one of the key things I had to do was create a menu so you could just like choose the different modes without having to restart or something.
Yeah.
That was like the key thing that we needed to be able to practice all these different types of modes. And then it was, it's just a case of like adding more and more modes as people request them, as people make them. Like,
Yeah.
at this point, I have other people contributing to add stuff to it, which is great. Like people make loads of stuff for it now. So it's nice how it's turned into like a community project in that way.
Yeah. So when it started with version 1, what was exactly in it?
I've got a screenshot somewhere. It was like there was like 5 things or something. It was like T-spin trainer. I can't even remember. I think there was like it had garbage mode in version 2. It had debug mode, which is like an earlier version of the block tool. Yeah, I can't quite remember. Yeah, it had some form of SPS, but the SPS was like really crappy.
Yeah.
We had to replace it eventually. That was fun, realizing that, people are using this ROM and the RNG isn't quite right. There's been a few things like that actually, where, we've put out a version and there's a slight mistake in it. Like, I think one of the most famous ones that Hydric made a video about is when the Pixel Andes world record that was supposed to be 8 million and something, and it showed
Yeah.
as 9 million in game.
Yeah, but the title screen was correct.
Be like, oh no, are all the scores that for everyone's games wrong? But it turned out to be like it was only during gameplay. Like the final score at the end was okay. I think that's the closest call we've had to like having a major incident with it, because I've had to write tests and stuff for this now, because if we make a mistake and then suddenly everyone's scores are wrong, that'll be a massive problem. Or if we change the game mechanics and make it easier or something like that. I really don't want that to happen. So we've had to take steps to like enforce certain things are going to be correct.
Yeah.
And one of them was like the 1,000,000-point score.
So I'm not into. I don't know anything about ROM hacking. So is it something you take the base game, you take elements from it, and you improve it, or are you building basically a complete new game with the assets that you have?
It could be. It's a range, right? You can take the base game and make small changes to it, or you can like make your own game and take small pieces from the base game. It started out with Tetris Gym, where I would just make small modifications, like I'd edit small bits of the game. But as it progressed, I realized that we kind of needed to make some more wide scale changes, like to make room for things. Like I removed the music, for example, because we wanted more space to do things. We started shifting things around. We've started like replacing original functionality now in just ways that are better because it uses up less space and stuff like that. So Tetris Gym is like, I think the statistics are like only 30% of the original ROM is used now. And most of that is the like graphics, like the art and stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything else we've replaced with like new graphics or new code.
And is it difficult to reprogram or program for the NES?
It can be. The thing about the NES is like it's the architecture is really simple, so that means you can learn how to modify it fairly easily. There's not many instructions to learn. But because it's so simple, it's quite difficult to do certain things. So, for example, it's got no instruction for division. So, if you or multiplication. So, if you want to multiply and divide, you have to do it by hand, where you're writing out these routines and having these lookup tables that do the multiplication for you before you even want to do something like that.
Yeah.
So, some things can be a real challenge where you have to quite often when it's something complicated, I'll write it out in like a more higher level language like JavaScript or Rust or something. And then I'll like kind of convert it to assembly. Because it's kind of hard to see the big picture straight off doing it in assembly for certain things. And also then you can like verify that it's correct by running simulations and stuff on the code you've written.
Yeah. So, and it was difficult to get like the ROM on an emulator. That might be very simple, but to get it actually played on actual NES hardware or clone consoles hardware, is that a difficult transition, or is an emulator and a hardware, is that the same?
So the emulator is obviously the easiest because you can just have the emulator open when you make a change and you've built the ROM. You can just reload the ROM and play it. I have a pretty good setup for hardware. I use a Mr. FPGA, so that's like a it's like the kind of clone console that you can flash essentially with whatever console you need. So I can do SNES, NES, etc. But it's super accurate, which makes it really good for this kind of development. And it supports things like Wi-Fi, so I can have a command where I like build the ROM and then transfer it straight to the Mr. FPGA. And then I just need to like restart it on the TV and I'm playing straight away. So that's really good for like that kind of development feedback. Most of the time I just do it in an emulator though, because the situations where it's important to test on hardware
Yeah.
are pretty specific things, and you kind of know when you need to do it there. It's stuff like detecting whether it's PAL or NTSC. Like you need to test that stuff on hardware because
Yeah.
emulators struggle to emulate that behavior accurately.
So pretty much, if it's working on an emulator, you're 99% guaranteed that it also works on hardware.
Yeah, usually. And you can kind of like guess if it's going to work or if you're going to need to test it on hardware. There's
Yeah.
only been a few times when I've written something in an emulator and thought it should work fine, and then later like looked at it in the game and then it's just like a black screen or something, or it shows crazy graphics. There's loads of times when I've just like accidentally done something and created this crazy like graphical glitches and stuff that I've posted quite a few of in the Cursed Tetris League Discord, which it's quite funny to see them sometimes, see how crazy it gets, but is also frustrating when it randomly just doesn't work.
What is the development timeline? Like, you've released version 6 in 2024. Like, is there plans for a version 7, or is it currently on hold and you'll work somewhere in 2025 on version 7?
Yeah, so I don't want to commit to any kind of timeline. The key thing about it for me is that I'm doing it for my own enjoyment mainly. So I don't want to, as soon as I start like putting a deadline on something, it starts to become less enjoyable. But I do want to, the next thing will be a version 7, hopefully this year. And the plan is to basically redo all the menus, because we have this huge menu at the moment with all these items and it's getting a bit cumbersome to use. So I want to have like sub menus and things.
Yeah.
And then once we do that, we can also do things like mixing the different modes together. So another really common request that we've had is stuff like being able to play SPS on every mode, or being able to play any DAS on any mode and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I think that's where the project needs to go next. We need to do some like foundational work again to get the ability to like have more modes, be able to
Yeah.
fit more things on, and like mix the modes and stuff like that. There's something else that I'd like to do, which is like start to add networking support, but that's been in like development hell for a long time. So
And
I don't know when that'll happen, but I want
wh-
to do it someday.
what do you mean with the network support?
Oh yeah, so the networking is like, um, well, it kind of allows you to do loads of stuff. So it'll be some kind of piece of hardware where the NES ROM can connect to Wi-Fi, and then the Tetris game can speak to the Wi-Fi and then speak to a server. So you could do things like have a head-to-head match with online matchmaking or something like that. Or you could make it so that at a competition, the instead of having to do OCR on the video feed, you could just send the data straight to like a computer that can re-render it or whatever and get like live score updates that way. Matchmaking is the key thing I want to make, where you can just like choose someone to play online.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a bit of a pipe dream at the moment because like getting the hardware right is quite difficult. There are a few different options floating about, and I've not really committed much to trying to make it happen. I've done some experiments with a few things, but I think it's just something I'll try and pick up one day and do.
That does mean that TetrisGym will be obsolete if that's if the plans are going through.
No, not really, because Tetris Champs does more than just OCR, right? It does like the re-rendering, all the statistics and things like that. What I'd just be replacing for Tetris Champs is, I think they call it a connector.
Yeah.
Like the OCR is a type of connector to connect to Tetris Champs, and then Zohasadar has built like some kind of networking stuff where it goes through the one of the EverDrives, the
Yeah.
N8, I think. Um, where it just like it connects to Tetris Champs as a connector, and you can just like use it without the OCR. So it'd just be doing something like that. I wouldn't want to spend loads of time figuring out statistics and stuff, but it would be nice to have something like, I don't know, ELO or something, live ELO or something like that. I don't know. It's all very like it's all very like up in the air and like embellishment on an idea at the moment. So I've not actually tried to execute it. So it could be much more primitive than what I'm describing, but you know, we'll see in the future.
It feels like magic to me if all the ideas that you have, like matchmaking, but also connected to the ELO database, it's like, oh man, if that all is going to happen, then like that will be perfect, pretty much. Like,
Yeah, it would be really cool because there's loads of stuff you can do, but and like we're really missing out as a community because like if you look in other communities, they can do this kind of stuff quite easily because they're not doing it on a NAS. They're doing it on a PC or something where it's
yeah,
much easier. But yeah, it's just more difficult, and I think it will happen at some point, but I don't know what that looks like yet.
I mean, the more modern gaming communities, yeah, they're playing on the latest hardware, but we're like playing playing on a console that's like 40 years old or something like that. So it's like sometimes I feel like we are reaching the max of what is capable of an NES, and then somehow you or others find a way to exceed what is capable on NES software.
Yeah, well, it's like having to build new hardware. One of the difficult things about it is going to be like, you know, how do we get people these pieces of hardware that we need? How do we produce these cartridges and stuff? Like, what's it going to look like? So it's like it's a logistical thing as well.
Yeah. To me, I feel like when Tetris Gym version 4 got released, that's where Tetris Gym really became popular. Like, It's also with the new same SPS sets because it's not compatible with version 3, and I feel like a lot of major changes happened since during version 4 and later versions. But like, how long did it take to transition from version 3 to version 4 and develop that fourth version?
I'd have to look at the commit log, but I think it was just like I took a break after doing version 3 for a bit and then saw it was becoming popular and was like, okay, there's stuff that's obviously missing. Like there was no B type. I just removed B type because I was like, oh, no one plays B type anyway, right? And then realized that was kind of a stupid thing to do. So I was like, okay, I'll add all of B type. I'll add it. The reason why it was so big is because I'd kind of left a gap after version 3, where I was like doing other projects and things. And then like it was a good time to get a lot of feedback on what people wanted. So I was then like, okay, I'll hit all the major points that people are saying it's missing, like, the SPS, the B type, and then added a bunch of other stuff as well.
Yeah.
That turned out like lots of people liked. And yeah, I mean, version 5 was another big jump in that way. I guess it probably doesn't look as much like that, but like internally, it was as much of like a framework revamp of like how it works and stuff like that. But I think the actual development time was probably only like a month or two. Because when I do these things, I kind of like just go hard on them basically. Like, I'll be doing work and then I'll finish work and then I'll just work on Tetris Gym for like hours after work. Until it's done, just because it's enjoyable and it's recreational.
Yeah. But are you a programmer in a professional job?
Yeah. I like it so much that I do it as a job and then I do it for my own projects. I've not been burnt out by doing it constantly yet.
That is...
I really hope I don't.
Wow. I mean, that is impressive. Honestly.
Well, if you love to do something, it'll be easy.
Yeah.
Like it's not difficult for me, or it doesn't seem, because what else would I be doing? I'd just be wasting time on something else. I might as well do the thing I enjoy doing.
And the most really strange part to me is you do this all for free. Like, you release the versions for free for everyone to enjoy. You never make a dime of it. If organizers are coming you with requests, you do that. It's like there are like now 3 sellers of physical cartridges, Gunther, Eric, and Allenbot. Yeah, so they are selling you your product basically, and it's basically, I don't think they pay you for the summer or something like that. That's fascinating to me, but also, why not try to make a buck out of it?
I don't really want to. I don't really see it as wait, what did you call it before? You called it like a product. I don't really see it as a product. It's like it's a project for the community to use to improve at Tetris.
Yeah.
Like I feel like trying to take money for that is kind of weird in the first place. I mean, it's also dubiously legal, which is the other side of it. I could probably find a way to monetize it by like donations or something, but I don't really want to. It's like, I feel like it would also make it more like a chore. Like, it's something that I'd owe to people if they would start donating to me. And, it's the same thing with not wanting a deadline. I want to work on it when I'm enjoying what I'm doing. And it's just more important to me that it's something that people can use and there's no stress about any money.
Yeah.
Making a profit.
But this is also maybe a little bit that if you don't want to work on TetrisGym anymore, you just can stop doing it because you have no obligations to anyone pretty much, because it's your project. And if you don't want to do version 7 for the next 6 months, you're not going to do that because, and what are we going to miss?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like someone else could, if I did like stop working on it. I'm not saying I will. Like I fully intend to keep improving it. But you know, someone else, because it's open source and everything, someone else could pick it up and just continue. Like there are other people in the community that have the ability to like run the project as well.
Yeah, but how
So
do you
I don't think it's a trouble
so how do you feel then that the three that we mentioned, Eric Ellenberg and Gunther, are selling physical cartridges of Tetris Gym?
I don't know. Good for them. You know, they're providing a service to other people. It's really cool actually because it helps it get it out there so other people can play it. So you know, I really appreciate that. I think, especially in the early days, there was someone called a game store called Cool Spot Retro.
Yeah.
I think something like that, where I contacted them asking if they could make a cartridge for me, and then I think it was like on version 3 when I was like suggested that they could list it in the store so other people could buy it, and they were like the first distributor of that stuff. And that was cool because then I could just like, with people that didn't want to mess about buying an EverDrive or anything like that, I could just direct them there.
Yeah.
So that was useful. And yeah, I don't harbor any ill will for them profiting.
I bought mine from Gunther. It's like the best purchase I did because I have only the vanilla and TC cartridge, but now like I can play anything I want to play. I can practice anything I want to practice, and it's so much more. Tetris made, because of Tetris Gym, it made playing Tetris so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, that's really good to hear. I mean, I did do it for myself to make it more enjoyable initially, but it's good that other people can like benefit from it. What version do you have?
5.
Oh, right, okay. So that's the only problem with the physical cartridges. Like they're a pain to upgrade. Like
Yeah.
you'd have to send it back to someone to swap the chips out or something like that.
Yeah.
That's where like an EverDrive or a FPGA really shines.
I doubt that I'll ever be in a situation where I play on a high level that I need the latest version of Tetris Gym to compete in.
Maybe if you want to do matchmaking or something in the future, in like 3 or 4 years or something stupid.
I'll probably find a way to get it done. Right now, like, yeah, I don't think I'll ever be in a situation where I'll play fastest masters and I need same piece sets for 19 starts, because yeah, that's not the kind of player I am. Still 650k for 2 years now, so I doubt my max out is my goal, and that's the goal. We'll see from there.
Do you play in CTM?
Well, last time I played at CTM was January. I took
still fairly regularly.
No, I took a break. I haven't played full. I moved houses in 2023, and I pretty much haven't played since. And I played 1 month in, I think it was late November, early December that I played. It was November that I played. I played TMP and I played CTM for pretty much 1 month, and then back to my hiatus. Pretty much. I like to play for my own amusement and not playing online matches because, like you said, it's a hassle. And father of 2 kids, and I only can play at night. So I rather.
Well, that's healthy, isn't it? You're doing it just because you enjoy it.
Yeah.
You're not like forcing yourself to practice. I see other people sometimes where they're like, they're not enjoying playing it, but they're still grinding because they want to get better. They want to keep improving and just getting angry at it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe that's something because I try and avoid that attitude that's kind of holding me back from improving. But I don't know, for me it's not worth it anyway, unless I really want to grind.
I think that's the same mindset I have. If I play and I get a 350k score, I'm happy for that session. If I get a 500k score, I'm very happy for that session. But like, yeah, I play for my amusement, not to be better. This is what I do. This is what I grind, like content creation. That is what I really want to improve and be better and better and all that. But playing Tetris, that's for my own amusement, for fun, and maybe playing live events be the someone has to be the bottom one. the last one to be in a tournament. That's my place.
Well, like live events are a different thing. Like I was saying before about like you can go and not even compete and still enjoy it. It's like meeting the community and stuff.
Yeah,
Is the main fun in that.
I mean, after what is it now, fourth year for CTWC DAS, I will finally be in Germany to pick, to do, pretty much on Saturday, I'll only be there on Saturday, but it's like my first live event. I'm not playing set to mark. Like, if you want me to do anything, I want to, if you have something to do for me, I want to do it, but I'm not going to play. Otherwise, you're just going to enjoy the tournament, the last 16 players.
Nice. You should get on comms.
Yeah, that's maybe, or an interview, because it's also in my ballpark.
Maybe a little more appropriate.
We'll see. I haven't heard back from Mark. Like 2 days that the announcement was made, so we'll see. Otherwise, I'll be just a spectator and have some fun. Not drink beer because I have to drive back the same day. But like pretty much enjoy the tournament or something like that. Hey,
Sure.
Tetris Gym is it a fan game? Can you call it that?
I call it a modification of NES Tetris. That's what it's officially described as on the GitHub page.
But in what kind of legal water is this? Like, both the Tetris company and Nintendo are notorious for their cease and desist letters and protecting their IPs. Have you heard from any of them during?
No. I've not got a single thing. Well, I have heard some stuff that they know about it, but yeah, the thing about Tetris Gym is I only distribute it as a patch, so I'm not distributing any intellectual property that they own. I'm only distributing instructions to change that intellectual property into a new work.
Yeah.
So the thing really distributing it isn't illegal. So as far as I'm I'm concerned, I should be in the clear for what I'm doing. It's the other people we mentioned before that can get in trouble, like Gunter, etc.
Yeah. So, was it some of a concern for you, like working on Tetris Gym, checking if you were in the clear, or were you like, if I'm not in the clear, I'm not gonna release it for the public. I'm just gonna use it for my personal use?
Not really. I kind of always assumed it would be fine because like I said, I've been doing it for years before on other like consoles and things.
Yeah.
I do think Tetris are more litigious in that way than the other consoles I've modified. Like Sega don't really go after people making ROM hacks and things like that and mods. But Tetris and Nintendo are definitely a lot worse. But I don't think anything will happen because I think it's fairly cut and dry. I mean, they could cause a bunch of problems if they really wanted to.
Yeah.
But I think the worst thing that could happen is just that I'd have to take it down or something. And even then, it's like people already have the cartridges and have the ROMs and stuff. Like, what are you going to do? Make them all get rid of them? I don't think that's going to.
Yeah. Or maybe just use it for personal use, not in a competition, because CWC DAS is using Tetris Gym. You made a whole new, pretty much DAS version of Tetris Gym just to eliminate people trying to exploit hypertapping, trying to exploit rolling during that. What is the conversation with Mark and the team looking like? Is he hitting you up like, hey, we want to organize CWC DAS, can you make a patch that prevents going over 10 hertz?
Pretty much. Like, I think we had a Discord call about it, and yeah, we just like talked through some ideas. Like, I think Mark came up with the initial idea of like how about we like count the number of frames for each tap and like just set limits to it, and it kind of evolved from there. Like the copy in CCWC, the Jonas Cup, is like, it's a version that's created by Alex Kerr. It was it took the Tetris Gym DAS limit and then like kind of expanded on it to like introduce some extra rules and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I wanna bring that back into the original Tetris Gym eventually. But yeah, you were saying about the legal things about competitions using these cartridges. It's interesting because it is possible for this to be done legally in competition still. Depending on, it's basically all down to the hardware. If the hardware is set up so that you have an original cartridge and then a kind of like pass-through device that's like a super game genie of sorts that then patches the game going in, that's like the Tetris company have given their sign to say that that's okay, but just having like a knockoff cartridge isn't okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not going to say what different competitions do, but it is possible to do it legally.
Yeah, that's pretty much what CWC does. Like, that is a super game genie, which is approved by the Tetris company.
Yeah. Because I think they tried it one year with like just reproduction cartridges, and the Tetris company was like, nope, not a chance. So they had to go back to the drawing board for that.
Is it also something you can do with TetrisGym? Like, make a add-on for the vanilla Tetris cartridge?
We could do, but it runs into the same problem as we were talking about before with the networking, where there'd have to be some kind of custom cartridges that we'd mass produce or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not impossible. It's not like there were people out there that can do these things and we could make it happen. But it's like putting the effort in to actually make it happen and stuff like that.
I presume
I don't know, maybe one day.
I presume it will also be expensive, like more expensive than buying a clear NES cartridge and printing a motherboard.
Yeah, but it might be like make financial sense at a certain level. Like if you need like 10 for all the different competitions you're running, and like we only need to produce 10 ever, it might be okay. Like that's not going to cost that much money, and it would mean we'd be able to do it for all the competitions by sharing them out or something.
Yeah.
So it's not as a huge deal as like wanting to give it to each individual person. Like we could probably make it work for competitions. It's just like not happened yet.
What is the craziest request a tournament organizer has asked you to patch for a certain tournament?
There's not really been anything that crazy, to be honest. Like, I think the biggest thing that I had to do outside of like the DAS limiting was the Linecap stuff. To be fair, that was kind of crazy because it was like we were getting to a point in the community where we were realizing that people can play forever. And, after Eric got that crazy run, we're like, okay, maybe we do need to change how the game finishes. So that was kind of crazy because there was like months and months of discourse where we were talking about like, okay, what should the line cap be? Where should it happen?
Yeah.
What should the effect be and all this stuff? So like filtering through all of that and figuring out what to actually do there was kind of nuts. But the solution just turned out to be like put everything in that's been suggested and let people pick, and the problem will solve itself. Like, vandweller made a grand decree, and then it was so forever on level 39 double kill screen was the one true way to finish.
Yeah. Do you have an opinion on that, or is it like I don't care what it is?
Yeah, not really. It's the same as like when you talk about do I have an opinion on what type of SPS we should use, because as long as it's the same for people, it doesn't really matter because then it's fair. And I guess also with the line cap, it also kind of has to be at least try and be in the spirit of the game. Like, if we're having, because we do it as CCWC now, we have the line cap, so we needed to pick something that was like in the spirit of the original game.
Yeah.
But there's still room for like doing crazy kind of line caps, like the Boston Tea parity. The first time where Fractal made all those crazy kind of line caps was really cool. It's nice to see that like variation out in the scene. It would be nice to see like some more competitions do stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's like people putting in the time and effort to like set that up.
In hindsight, are you happy that you just put every level in it for double kill screen?
I don't think there was another option, you know, because if I'd have, well, I could have just like tried to figure out what the level was and then land on 39, but people would have argued, like with the ability to like change it to any level, there was a lot less of discourse around where the level should be. So it was like changing at first until we found what a good point would be. Like we kind of had to experiment, you know.
Yeah.
We couldn't just like, okay, here's the line cap, let's put it out there. This is how we're going to do it. I mean, maybe we could have done that, but it seems a lot riskier, like going all in. This way we could like, you know, just basically try a few things out until we landed on what the right thing to do was.
Yeah.
I think it worked out pretty well. Like, we'd probably still have gotten there eventually, but it might have been a bit more bumpy ride if we did something else, I think.
I agree with that, especially like you can, for example, this was version 5, you can patch it with 5.1, 5.2, but if someone like me who only has an original NES and not an EverDrive or something like that, then we can't update as quickly. So we might be stuck with a 49 line cap, or we might be stuck with no line cap at all. So I think this is the best solution, and the line caps double kill screen was really a bumpy ride, because I remember the discussions and the heavy discussions that have been going on in Rabbit Hole and CTM, like what the line cap should be.
Yeah, it was like months of stuff. But yeah, like when we were doing all that stuff, Vandweller said that he would make carts for everyone. And like distribute them to people that didn't already have them, just to like bridge the gap while we got used to it. So you know, it had to be flexible. It had to be something where we could choose.
Yeah, and is it physically possible that when we do fastest masters starting on 19 transition treaty, pretty much right now it's not possible to do that on same piece sets, but is it currently possible to do it? Like if you code it that way, is that possible, or do you need to change a lot of things?
Well, I could. So here's the thing: I could make a one-off ROM where it's just like a faster masters ROM, where it has that functionality, and that would be very easy. But I couldn't release that as a ROM because it's like hard coded. It's difficult to change. It won't be in the menu or anything like that. So it means we have to like build it in as an option, and this is why we need to do all these extra menus and things like that.
Yeah,
just so we're able to have this configurability, because we're really reaching the limits of the current menu. We need more power to like choose options and things. So that's where like the time's going to come from. But once we have that, we can do all sorts of stuff. Like I'm looking forward to putting in all of AnyDAS, because at the moment you can only change like one option of like the 3 things you can configure in DAS.
yeah,
And people have been asking for ages to get full AnyDAS in it. I think people have made these one-off versions, like I was talking about, where you can easily just put it in for this one version, and it's not fully integrated properly, but
yeah.
people can use it and play. But once we have this other menu stuff, then we can do what we want. Hopefully, that's the plan anyway.
And doing all those things, will the memory of a NES cartridge, will that ever be full? Are we close to being full, or is it unlimited?
Well, so technically it's unlimited, because you could always make some kind of custom cartridge that has more space, but we're not going to do that because we want it to work on every piece of hardware. The thing about TetrisGym is it's like we try and use the functionality of the NES that's most available, so it'll run on EverDrive, it'll run on all the emulators, it'll run on Mr. FPGA without anything special, just so it's more accessible. So within those constraints, I think, let me just do a calculation. One sec. I think this should be correct. Yeah, so I think we've got, is that correct? We should have about like 36 kilobytes left. I don't know if that might be wrong. No, that's definitely wrong. What am I talking about? How much do we have left? Wait, sorry about this.
It
Oh, right, yeah. So we've got 9,500 bytes left, which is just over half. So the original game fits in just a bit less than that.
Oh, but if you're talking about modern day memory, like what do you say, 9,500 bytes?
Yeah,
Yeah, that
it's
is
nothing.
like that sounds so small to me with like 2025 terabyte external hard drive knowledge that a game. And I still find it so impressive how much like the manual for version 5, which I have, how big that is, or how many things you can implement. I still find it impressive, but also how pretty much how small this the memory pretty much is, or how little space it takes.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, the thing about it is as well, we've tried to be really efficient with how we like add features and stuff to it now. So when I added dark mode, originally it used up a load of space. It used up tons of things. Just because I wanted to do it like because I wanted to do it in an efficient way and not use all this stuff, like just so we have more space left over for other things. Like there was quite a few revisions, and eventually it was down to like 100-ish bytes at the end to get dark mode to work. So
Yeah.
that's just like just 20, 30 lines of code or something like that.
So
Yeah, so like a lot of work goes into like making it efficient and making sure that we're going to have space in the future and things like that.
yeah. So how much
Like there's the planning.
percentage memory do we have left? Like you said 50, something like that, or did I misheard that?
Yeah, like I'd say between 50 and 60, roughly.
So you've used 40% of the memory for the NES right now, like for an NES, casual NES test cartridges.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm talking about the memory, I'm talking about like the program ROM chip.
Yeah,
So the graphics are a different thing. Like the memory is just the pure logic for the game, and like a lot of that comes down to like replacing, like I was saying before, about replacing original parts of the game and doing them more efficiently, um, which is kind of a crazy thing because like there's loads of bugs in NES Tetris, right? There's loads of weird things. There's so many different glitches and stuff that you have to account for and make sure are still working. So there's been loads of times when we've replaced something and then had to like recreate the bug because the thing we've replaced it with doesn't have the bug because we did it properly. And then we have to like re-add the bug back in. Such a odd thing to be doing.
but
But the thing about it is those glitches are part of the game. They're part of the original mechanics.
yeah.
So we can't change them. That's like the number one rule. We have to keep the mechanics the same.
Don't you want to make the ultimate version of NES Tetris where you fix all the glitches and all the bugs?
Not really. Like there is a version like that that someone has made that's like it's fixed all the crashing, it's fixed a few other like level transitions and things like that. But I don't know, I don't find that kind of stuff interesting
Yeah,
because it's no longer useful when it's for practice when you start changing the core mechanics of the game. Like it turns into a different game then. And the whole idea about this Tetris Gym is that it's the same game, but with more stuff, more modes and
yeah.
things like that.
Can,
So it's never the I guess the only change is like the removal of the crash
yeah,
because we kind of had to remove the crash because there's basically no way of recreating it I know we have a mode in now that recreates it from scratch, but you can't really fully do that. You'll never get it 100% correct. It's very close at the moment, but you can't exactly do that. And I think that's a reason why we have these two categories now, and it makes sense because it's kind of the only way it could happen,
Yeah,
really. Because like I see it as like when in speedrunning communities when they have an any percent category
yeah,
and then someone discovers an arbitrary code execution glitch where it suddenly changes the game entirely and it has all these conditions. Then they split the leaderboard on the any percent category, which doesn't make sense. Any percent should be the lowest possible.
yeah.
But it's like communities have this exception for arbitrary code execution where they're like, okay, this is too crazy. We want to actually play the game, so we'll split the categories here. So we've basically done the same thing because it is an arbitrary code execution bug.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I just see it as a necessity when we have to do that kind of stuff.
Because when Dog got Rebirth, they have... No, I think it started with Alex T getting 60 million, a 60 million score world record. That's the first time where the community, I don't think they were split, but like, is this a valid world record because Alex T went over what should have been a crash? And now with Dog getting Rebirth, he skipped all the crashes. So from an inside view, inside the community, we get it. Like we understand the mechanics, we understand the what every player is going through. But from an outsider, I saw so many comments from people who are not inside the community, like, this is not a real game, this is not a real Rebirth because it was not played on original hardware, it was not played on original software, like it was played on TetrisGym and not on the vanilla game.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that perspective entirely. I remember when it first happened, when Alex got this score, and it was a bit weird because it's like, okay, it doesn't exactly match the game because it seems like there's a few glitches that are disabled in Tetris Gym. Because it's like the level lag bug where you're one level behind, like the game crashing itself, all the confetti, they all seem like different bugs, but it's really just one bug. It's really one change we're making, and that's disabling arbitrary code execution. And looking at it from outside, you don't see that at all. It looks like there's this difficult bit at the end of the game, and we just like modified the game to get past it.
Yeah.
But we're not a speedrunning community. We don't treat it entirely in the same way.
Yeah.
And I think people still see the value in just the pure Tetris game. Like the crash dodge stuff is its own thing. It's nice to have that category as well. But I don't think anyone really sees it as illegitimate anymore. At least not inside the community.
No. And no. Like I said, I think the only major thing left to do is Rebirth on vanilla.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
I'm not sure when that's happening. Probably no time soon.
I think the quest for major achievements is done. Like 2024 was and is the craziest year we've ever had in NES Tetris and probably will ever have in NES Tetris. And I think when we get the vanilla game Rebirth, it will be a big achievement, but it will not be in like the flow that we had in 2024, or what started in late December of 2023 when Scooty crashed the game. Like, it's just a magical year that we had, 2024, and it basically Dog getting Rebirth was the perfect finishing touch for that.
Yeah, like I think it's a bit more of a niche thing now, the crash dodge.
Yeah,
It's not even like Tetris anymore. You're doing like a different gauntlet that you've got to run that requires different skills and stuff. Obviously, it's Tetris, but it's like Tetris with this other crazy bug avoiding nonsense that you have to grind through.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still not convinced that it's entirely possible. Like, I mean, surely there's a way of doing it, but it just seems so outlandish because of all the things you have to avoid. You have to like memorize hydrants, crash avoidance sheet, and then for each of the levels do the crazy tech that we don't even have the tech for it yet. You know, the like flashing the next box and pushing down correctly and stuff like that while rolling. It
Yeah.
seems like it's going to be tricky.
I think we're gonna move from a score attacking game towards Tetris is competitive. Like, be efficient as
Yeah, like
possible
pace.
in, from score attacking to pace. Like, be as efficient as possible in 39 line cap game, because that's pretty much the standard what it is right now.
Yeah, and I mean it's more fun that way. Like we've done it for ages now, and it seems like after a few months in, people are like, okay, yeah, this is better. This is how we want to play the game.
Yeah.
I'd like the thing about the rebirth and the crash. It was kind of like kind of a diversion because everyone had refocused their efforts and no one was really going for high scores anymore. So it was like a total novelty. But when people came back to do those kind of things, and now that's done, it's like we're just returning to like the super competitive, pace focused, like aggression games.
Yeah. And having 1 month a year with no cap, that's fun. Getting double colors in the finals, that is fun, but like shouldn't be a standard.
Yeah, you can't do that every month, right? It's good to check in once a year and see how the people that can grind the marathons are doing.
Yeah.
But you know, I think surely if we had that every month, it would be boring. Like people would just, we have some games that are just like you're just waiting for them to top out. Like you're not. I guess you just you'd be distracted away from the game and just kind of waiting for it to end almost.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. 29 should be the most exciting part of NES Tetris, like 29 speed. But like, if you have no cap every month, it will be like just like 18. It will be more a podcast like, and we'll wait until someone tops out, and we might have a Chasedown or someone is a winner. Like we said, 1 month a year, that is fun. A no cap world championship, pretty much. And live event should never ever go back to no cap. That should always have a 39 line cap, because I think we'll see if we don't do that, we'll see a 2-hour match, a 2-hour finals, and we go way over time.
I'm not sure. Like, so imagine a world in which there's much more Tetris competitions. Obviously, we won't have no cap for the major ones, but it would be cool if someone did a random one-off competition where it's no cap and it's like, you know, we've got this building for the whole night, guys. We're just going to keep playing.
Yeah.
See what happens. It could be fun. It could also be terrible. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
The one thing that I'm missing is like, I really want someone, an organizer, something like that, to fly out like 8 or 16 of the best players from wherever they are, fly them to a location and just let them play, have a tournament over a week, round robin style or something like that, and then just have a true best on best tournament.
Yeah, like some kind of invitational.
Yeah, exactly, because you're not getting that with CDWC, you're not getting that every month with CTM. I think the closest you get is Mega Masters.
Yeah.
But like,
someone's just got to bankroll it though.
Yeah. Well, we have some lovely donators to the community might do that, but I don't know, that should be really cool if someone is going to do that and just rent out a auditorium or a place where we can put like 500,000 people and just have the best on best place.
That would be crazy. 500,000 people.
No, 500 or 500 or 1,000 people.
Right, yeah. It's like, how many people do you think are into NES Tetris? Got like this huge stadium event. I don't know. Who knows? One day, maybe.
I mean, if we ever can sell out a arena like 15,000 plus arena just for CTWC, that would be amazing.
Yeah, imagine the atmosphere in that place.
Oh, we should have it in Europe because I'm sorry, I still find the crowd in Europe way more entertaining than the crowd in America.
Yeah, they're a lot rowdier.
Yeah, a lot more beers.
Usually a lot more drunk.
Exactly. A lot more beers going on. Hey, so what are your plans for 2025? What do you want to do and achieve in 2025, Tetris wise, or maybe program wise?
Programming wise, I want to just keep improving on my skills. Like, you know, it's a craft that I want to keep improving on. Tetris wise, I want to go to CCWC. I want to have loads of fun there. I want to meet everyone again. That'll be great. I want to work on Tetris Gym again. I want to get version 7 out. And like, I want to nail down how we're going to do all these mixing the different modes together.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, once I start practicing, maybe I'll try and get a rollover. We'll see. But I don't, it's so weird because I'm like, it feels like it should be within my abilities to do it, right? It's just moving your fingers in a certain way.
Yeah.
But I just can't seem to get it. Maybe, I don't know, we'll see after this break.
Maybe before CTWC, like the week before.
That would be ideal because then I would definitely get into gold again, probably.
I think CTWC this year will be nuts again.
Yeah.
And how we achieve every year higher quality of matches and qualifying and all that. That's I don't know. I still can't believe it, but somehow we do it. Or maybe the players do it.
Yeah, not so much us.
Well, not me. Especially not me.
It's probably very likely that I won't make gold again. But we'll see. The thing about it is that if I get into gold anyway, I'll probably get annihilated in the first round. So, you know,
at least
I did get to play a few more matches in silver.
Yeah, at least win a game in gold. That's the goal.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Not getting swept.
Like, because I think I got. Yeah, that was rough. I didn't really care though. Like, I wasn't gutted or anything. I was just happy to get into gold, and then I didn't really think about playing in the event after that.
Yeah.
So I was just like, well, whatever, you know, I'll just go through this. And then one of the things that usually happens when I play live is that I'm like, oh my god, I'm playing Tetris, and it's actually important this time. I have to actually focus on not just playing at home. And obviously I play worse because of that.
Yeah, that's the downside of only playing 2 tournaments a year.
Yeah, totally.
And I try to avoid Armstrong in gold if you can.
Well, I imagine Armstrong has improved at a much more rapid pace than I have since I last played him.
Oh yeah, pretty much. I think play against him again. You did well against him in silver, so. Got defeated. He got the revenge during UK, so I think we're looking for a trilogy here.
Oh yeah, that was rough. That was one of those cases where I just like I lost the ability to play.
Yeah,
because like it's because it was like we had 2 games each, and then everything was on the last game.
Yeah.
So obviously I was like, my hands were like shaking and stuff. I just like couldn't do the right controller inputs and stuff. Like it just looks like I stopped playing.
Yeah.
But it's because I can't like physically do the rolling and stuff. Since then I've tried to like have that happen at home and try and like play through it kind of thing. Because it can happen when I get if I'm going to get a big score or something. So I've been trying to like stress myself to kind of power through that. Which has been helpful because it's like because of that I'm able to recover now. Like if I do get in a situation where I can't physically do it, if I just take like half a second to just like re-grip and like loosen up a bit,
Yeah.
I could kind of like get back into it. Maybe misdrop a piece or two.
I see King book you versus Tim a week before CTWC just to get that trilogy in.
Oh yeah, that would be sick. We should definitely do that.
King,
that's such a good idea.
Book it, and I want my credits.
Yeah.
All right, Kirjava,
I'll hit him up after this.
Yeah, Kirjava, thank you so much for joining me on the Pizza Buddies podcast for this month. It was truly a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's been fun. It's good to like talk through all this and the history of things.
And with that all being said, this is the end of the Peace Dependency podcast. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. Follow us on the socials at Peace Dependency Podcast. And I'll see you in March. Bye.